Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. As I'm gathering some awesome guests for future episodes of Food School that are going to tell us, for example, how are all these fancy vegan meat-like burgers are made. What's the process like? How does a pea becomes meat? And pretty convincing meat. And also we will talk about nutrition aspects of those foods. We will also talk about sourdough, for example, and why there are world banks of sourdough where they keep that sourdough for like almost centuries, I think, some of them, and why they're different and why it's all different from our modern fast bread. Not that I'm a fan of bread, but sourdough bread, it is much different, for example. Today, but that's in the future. Today we are talking about food behaviors. My personal experience with a few food behaviors, eating behaviors modifications, my personal experience, and also everything I learned from the psychology of eating studies and research. I'm going to share with you 3 modifications or changes of food behavior that I personally did in my life that totally changed the game of my eating. It became so much healthier, and I just have so much more energy after my meals and every single morning, because guys, how you eat the day before, that's one of the major things that will define how much energy you have in the morning. Like if your body has to spend a lot of energy to process some junk, some really heavy and complicated, not designed for our digestion foods, if your body has to spend a lot of energy doing that, then you're not going to be recovering that well, and in the morning you're not going to be having that much energy. And what's for me even more important, then you don't have energy for your life, what you want to accomplish, for the businesses, visions, goals you want to build, for relationships you want to build, and just to be your awesome self and manage yourself better, your emotional and mental states, and also to approach challenges that we all encounter in our lives with more zest and enthusiasm, giving it all. So we are not going to have energy for all of that if our food is really not well designed for our human body, our human digestion. And food behavior, it affects a lot, like our conscious design of our food behaviors, our eating behaviors, it affects a lot how much we eat and what we eat exactly. So, for example, behavior number 1, eating undistracted. That means for me, what it meant is eating, not checking my email, eating, not watching Netflix, even if it's some nutrition shows, eating, not working on some writing assignments, like writing down my goals and visions, eating, not listening to podcasts and audiobooks, eating, not talking with someone on the phone or on Skype. Those things I used to do while eating. And from all the studies, psychology of eating studies, we know that the more distracted our mind is, the more we are engaged mentally in doing something, the less attention we have for our food, and the more we tend to eat, the worse choices we tend to make. And our digestion is also not primed for welcoming food, absorbing nutrients, metabolizing them, because our blood flow can only be fully in one of 2 places, really. Well, there are a lot of places, but we are either supplying a lot of blood with nutrients, with oxygen to our brain, or to our digestive system. Now, of course, there are also muscles and all that stuff, but you probably know that while you exercise, if you eat something at the same time, it's not going to be digested well. You're going to have a lot of discomfort in your stomach, in digestion, because again, but our systems, those digestive systems, muscles, our brain, they're very demanding, and they cannot work to full capacity all together. That's why you don't eat while you exercise, or you don't go exercise right after a heavy meal. That's why also it is not recommended, and it's not beneficial for us to eat while working mentally, while being distracted, because whatever we eat at that time, it's not going to be digested well. We're not going to be connected to our hunger cues that much. We're not going to be able to make better choices. And since I changed that, so basically what is happening now while I'm eating, I'm going to a kitchen, or if I don't have a kitchen while traveling, I sit down at a designated space where I'm gonna have my food, and I sit down there and I don't listen to anything except for maybe some jazz or some music that keeps you relaxed. I don't talk too much to anyone. I don't discuss any business. I don't discuss any issues with anyone. So it's not the time to solve problems. If I'm having my meal with someone, it's just light chat and not too much of it. In Russia, we have a saying that goes something like, when I eat, I'm deaf, and what's the other one when you can't speak? So basically, when I eat, I can't speak and I can't hear. And that's actually the ideal environment for our digestion. And that's when we pay more attention to all of our senses, to our tastes, to the sense of smell, to textures in our mouth. We chew much slower, much better, and our whole digestive process just going much better. So that was one of the behaviors that I changed, and still sometimes have to remind myself when I'm like, oh, I have to do this on my computer and that, can't I just eat and do this? I'm like, no, that's not gonna work. And what happens when you do it long term and you make it a rule is you are much more connected to your hunger, to why you eat, what you eat, how it makes you feel, and you make that connection that certain foods make you feel a certain way, better, more energetic, or certain foods make you feel sleepy and sluggish, and you have negative thinking pattern after those meals. And the more obvious that connection becomes, the better you start eating. That usually happens for everyone automatically. So first thing you gotta do, you just gotta set a rule that from now on, when you eat, you just eat. And so if you decided to have a snack, we're gonna talk about snacks a little bit later today too. If you decided to have a snack, then you have to get off your ass, go to a place where you decided to have food. You're gonna eat your snack, chewing slowly, not inhaling it, and then once you finished, you're gonna get back to work. And that can kill a lot of your snacking habits, because if we are honest, guys, when do we usually snack? When we are doing something, when we are watching, talking, emailing, so many things we can be doing while snacking. And once you start just eating, not allowing yourself to do anything else, then magic happens. You might just stop snacking, realizing how much time it takes to eat all that food by itself. So that's behavior now number one, eating undistracted, that completely changed my eating hygiene and routine, and I just feel so much more connected to my foods. And I can't even remember now, like, when was the last time I overate till that uncomfortable stuffy feeling? Because I'm just always in the process of eating, really paying attention to that. And you'll be surprised how much it's going to change your eating behavior without you having to count calories, carbs, or whatever. So number two, eating only whole foods. that was a game changer for me too. No smoothies, no juices, no meal replacement shakes, no nut butters, anything that was powdered, pureed, extracted, like extra virgin olive oil. I consider it a condiment, and I am mindful of versions of those things, and I'm never treating it as a complete meal. So even if it's, again, smoothie, juice, meal replacement, protein bar, never consider that to be a whole food, because it was powdered, it was pureed, it was baked together. For that reason also, no cookies, none of that is food. It might be a dessert, it might be a condiment, it might be whatever it might be, but it is not a meal. Whole foods means vegetables, meats, eggs, cooked in a certain way into a complete meal. And that's what it means to eat whole foods. The rest, like extra virgin olive oil that I'm a fan of, herbs or spices, those are condiments, not the main food. And the same way, I started to treat all these shakes or protein bars or smoothies or anything. And that what it made for me, and studies and research in psychology of eating confirms that, what it did for me personally, it connected me even more to my sense of hunger, of fullness, and how certain food makes me feel. And also when we chew that whole food, compared to smoothie, for example, it creates completely different digestive effect, and that sense of fullness, of being no longer hungry and being satisfied with your meal. Like smoothie compared to the same ingredients eaten whole, like even think about it. If you someone who had a smoothie in your life, and in that smoothie you might have greens, you might have banana and avocado, God knows what else is there. Imagine eating all those foods by themselves whole. You're probably not going to even be able to eat that much, or it's going to take that much longer, and you'll be much more aware of the taste, the textures, and how certain foods make you feel. And when I stopped eating all these, especially like nut butters was my thing, or fat bombs, or smoothies was my thing at some point too. So once I stopped eating all this extract and potions, again, my connection to hunger cues, to fullness cues, got to a completely different level. And at this point, for me to overeat, to overconsume something, it's almost impossible, because when you eat only whole foods, first of all, they have volume that fills up your stomach. Second of all, they take time to chew, to swallow, to digest. And by the time your digestive system does all that, your brain knows that you're getting nutrients and you're no longer hungry. And so if you are eating undistracted on top of that, it's very hard to stuff yourself when you chew, compared to, let's say, processed foods, processed snacks that just melt in your mouth and you basically inhale them. Like, that's why a lot of you guys might be overeating, just because you're eating the wrong kind of things that don't require any work, any chewing. You can just inhale them basically. And so switching to whole foods, that made a huge difference. And so I consider, again, not whole foods, anything that was powdered and made from that powder too. So if it's bread or pasta, it was powdered into flour before made into pasta or bread. So I do not consider those whole foods either. Or I don't even consider whole foods dairy products, because kind of like gooey stuff. I don't know, but that's just, my thing. But what I do know, the more whole foods you eat, the more you're connected to your hunger, and the less you tend to overeat. So try it as an experiment combined with undistracted eating. And the last, but definitely not least, not snacking. That also changed the whole game for me. I get so much better with hitting my nutrition goals when I stop snacking. Because what happens when we snack, we eat something and that makes us not so hungry, but it might also not give us complete nutrition. But we're not hungry for a complete meal. And so we kind of like eating all these small pieces of foods. You know, some foods are better, some are worse. Some eating a piece of fruit, maybe not. Some eating chips and protein slash candy bar. But still, every snacking episode, it takes you away from a whole complete meal that you could be hungry for if you didn't snack all that much. So you think, okay, I just eat one piece of candy, but that piece of candy, that actually spoils your appetite and you're no longer hungry for a complete meal. And you can just, okay, you know, for dinner, I'm just gonna have, I don't know, a croissant, or for breakfast, or whatever you have. So snacking, it spoils your appetite. It also, what it does, it elevates, you know, we talked about that many times. It makes your blood sugar goes up and down, and you're kind of like not hungry for a big meal, but you're kind of always hungry, searching for the next snack. And also, once I made that rule that there are no excuses for anything that is not a complete meal, like maybe fat bomb made of nut butter, or some oils, or maybe a piece of fruit, maybe some nuts, maybe a piece of protein bar, whatever that might be. I made a rule: no snacks, only complete meals. Sometimes one, sometimes two, sometimes three, but only complete meals. And if you do more than 3 meals, guys, that is snacking. Once I made this rule, no snacks, first of all, I have much better appetite for my meals. I eat my complete meals till I'm satisfied and no longer hungry. But I still don't overeat, because if we don't snack and we just eat meals, there is only so much really of whole foods, eating undistracted, that you can eat. So combine all this together: no snacking, no eating undistracted, eating only whole foods, and without counting anything, your eating habits will improve and you'll eat so much better. You will be so much more connected to your hunger, and every morning you're gonna feel more energy and you're gonna look better and feel fitter. So many things will change by changing those behaviors and setting those rules in place. And of course, you know, you might fail quite a few times before they're your second nature, but with practice, everything gets better. So the more you practice, the better you're gonna do, and the better overall you're gonna feel on a daily basis. Try it as an experiment, guys. Combine these 3 behaviors together and you'll be surprised in a couple of months, how much better your eating habits will be. So number 1, eating undistracted, and there is no exception. No matter where you are, if you have to be distracted, then delay your eating. So eating undistracted, no exception for anything. Number 2, eating only whole foods, and any extracts or oils or butters or herbs or like whatever is not whole, treat it as a condiment, not as a meal, and minimize it, because it is a condiment, not your main meal. So eating only whole foods. And third one, not snacking. If you're hungry, eat a complete meal. If you're not, then wait and go get busy, do something else. That's it for today, guys. These 3 behaviors, eating undistracted, eating only whole foods, not snacking, they brought so much peace into my eating practice. And now I never feel like I have to be on some sort of diet to eat better or to look or feel better, when you bring order into your eating habits, when you eat as we humans were designed to eat, your eating habits will get better automatically. So again, eating undistracted, paying attention to your food and chewing properly, eating only whole foods and not snacking. Those are game changers, guys. Believe me, I tried many things. I fucked up and screwed up many things, but these things stayed and they work and they probably never gonna go away. And that's how we were designed to eat. Our parents, our grandparents, that's how they ate. In the times of caveman, that's probably how they ate. When they ate, there was no TV for caveman people, and they just ate. They were eating only whole foods, and there was no snacking involved. There was no 24/7 supermarket around and food advertising at every corner. So that's how we are designed to eat, and that's the best way to improve your eating habits through behaviors. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening. Share this one episode with one another person who will absolutely love it. What else? And stay tuned tomorrow. We will be talking about breakfast, different kinds of breakfast, and why some breakfasts are better than others. Also, nutritional breakdown of some breakfasts, like spinach or vegetable omelette, like what are the fats, carbs, and vitamins and minerals in that? Or if we compare it to some cereal, like what's in that? And why certain breakfasts work better for people and certain breakfasts do not work for us. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate your time and your feedback and all the love that you're sending my way. Thank you. And till next time, eat better daily.